Hey guys, how's it going? So do you like tier lists? I mean, of course you do. Everyone loves a good tier list, don't they? No one cringes at tier lists. Well, people have been asking me forever now which specialist I like the most or which ones are the best. Well, best is kind of subjective, but here's my ranked list of legendary trade union specialists. If you like this and you want to see more of them, leave a like and a comment so I know to make more videos like this for the other specialists. So we're going to start off at the bottom on the F tier. These are the ones I consider the worst of the worst. First off, we have Mark Vandermark. I really just don't find him useful at all. Animal farms are something you just don't need a ton of. The extra wool, the extra alpaca wool is kind of a meh. It's just meh all around. And the number of modules plus 100%, I just really don't like that. A lot of people say he's really good for like beef farms or cattle farms or something. I hate those things anyways. I absolutely despise cattle farms because they have such a terrible layout. And number of modules plus 100% just makes it worse. So I really just find him completely terrible. Next up on the list is the Bizarro Balluno Magnet. Again, just meh on this. Yeah, 1 iron every 1 production sounds great, and sure, it could be, but iron is not really something that I find myself, like, just foaming at the mouth for, that I would need to build lots of trade unions around typically 1 or 2 mines, because that's usually about all you can get put together is 1 or 2 mines, and then you have to put a trade union on top of it. Just buy your extra iron ore from Eli if you need more. Or if you have Docklands, import some. Or if you have the Research Institute, research the major discovery that lets you change a mine to a different type of resource. I mean, who needs all of those cement mines sitting around, all those limestone quarries, whatever they're called? Change those over to iron mines and you'll be fine. I just really don't find this useful. Plus, having to get 50 lost expedition scrap just makes it even worse because who loves having to go and farm for that stuff? So, yeah, pretty terrible. Next up is Victor Perfecto. Probably the worst of the worst. The absolute worst legendary trade union specialist in the game, period. He does nothing. He's useless. Attractiveness, maintenance costs. Sure, you get your cigar factories for free. Woohoo. Big whoop. And then switching over to Ornolero workforce. Yeah, no. Doesn't sell it. Probably one of the worst legendary specialists I can think of off the top of my head in the game. So pretty terrible. Moving up to the D tier. Now the D tier, they're not great. They're not terrible, but they're just not good. So we're going to start off with Dr. Ali Al-Zahir. Again, kind of looking at it at first, 30% extra on crop farms. It's okay. But then like all of the old world goods, I don't need these. Every time I get him and I'm think, oh, I'm going to make good use of him in the new world to supply old world. No, I just don't. I find this just completely useless. I don't have problems making this stuff in the old world. There's plenty of islands for it. So I really don't find this useful. I could sell it off maybe with Docklands now, bring it over to another island and export it. So maybe, but he's still just not that great, really. So, yeah, sorry, dude. Next up, we have Francis Thorne, the Industrial Reinforcer. Another meh kind of thing. The extra wood veneers is nice. Every 2 productions, you get 1. So that's not bad, but it's on brick factories and concrete factories. You typically don't have just tons of those sitting around. At least I don't. Maybe you do and you find him useful. I personally don't, and I just find him really kind of useless. And he employs the farmer workforce. Again, not really that great to me. I try to have as few farmers as I can, really, so I really don't want to have more just to staff my brick factories and concrete factories. So, and those two goods, bricks and concrete, I'm usually getting pretty full on those. So that kind of kills off the amount of wood veneers I get from it. So it's just really not that amazing. Next up is one is probably going to get me some hate. The Human Incarnate number 9. Workforce minus 50%. Yes, he is good if you are going for reduced workforce. I can understand why people would love him for that, but overall, in terms of what he provides, that's all he provides, and I just find him very meh. I don't find him that great for a trade union slot. So he kind of goes on down to the D tier for me. Next up is the Country Bumpkin. If I can find it in my list right here. There it is, the Country Bumpkin Cigar Roller. Again, another meh. It's plus 25% productivity on all crop farms, which is okay, but the cigars are not something I ever have a problem with. They're very easy to produce yourself. There are a lot of great cigar factory, or whatever they're called, the cigar factory things that make the cigars. There's plenty of specialists that really pump that out. You can buy cigars from Kahina. There's plenty of ways to get cigars that this right here, I just don't find all that useful. And last but not least, we have the Ultimate Power Matrix. Provides electricity. Normally this is something that's okay. It's not bad, but it only affects certain factories, and you're going to have power for the most part anyways. It's not like power plants are difficult to set up and maintain. So this is really not that great. And then the chance of fire and explosion chance, that's just more stuff I have to deal with and remember to go rebuild when it blows up. So don't really find this all that handy for myself. So moving up to the C tier, we have Angela Meg Ivor, the Polyvalent. Now, she does move up a little bit of a tier from the Power Matrix because she at least can reduce the workforce needs. So she's just okay. She's all right. She provides electricity. That's good. She decreases workforce a bit. That's good. She's okay. There's nothing wrong with her. Next up, we have Cristobal Tafeta. Again, just okay. Plus 50% on poncho darners and bombin weavers. That's decent. The extra work clothes and fur coats is not bad at all. It helps you, you don't need to build as many fur dealers and as many framework knitters. The only problem is now you have to transport those back to the old world where you need them, or to Cape Trelawney. So it loses a bit of its value that way to me, because now that's something else I have to set up and move around. So it's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's all right. Next up, we have the Fortunate MK3, very fortunate indeed. Just a bog standard productivity bonus on this thing. Again, it's all right. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's okay for what it is. Plus 35% is not the most in the game, but it's all right. Before Research Institute came around, I would say it would probably go up to pretty awesome or something like B tier, maybe at least. But now that we can craft items or specialists from the Research Institute, it's just not all that special anymore. So next up, we have Henry Zanchi, the Man of Steel. Plus 50% productivity is not bad. The workforce reduction, the maintenance cost reduction is pretty good, but it affects things that I typically myself don't build a whole lot of. I normally don't have a ton of steelworks or weapons factories of any sort. So he loses a bit of his value there. He's okay. There's nothing wrong with him, but he's not amazing just because he only affects things that I normally don't have a lot of. Next up is Marcel Forecast. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Marcel Forecast, the Celebrity Chef. Now, he's down on just okay, even though he is really cool. 100% productivity on artisanal kitchens, makes extra sausages. You don't need beef. You get, instead of beef, you need pigs. Couldn't get that out. The reason he's down on just okay is because I hate the artisanal kitchen. That's the only reason he's down there. I personally hate the artisanal kitchen. I find every way possible to not have to build one. Typically by getting myself a Chef Michel, so I don't need the artisanal kitchen anymore for the cannery chain, or just doing the best thing ever and just importing my canned goods from the canned food from Docklands and being done with it. So yeah, he's okay, but he's not that great to me because I'd rather just not have to do the artisanal kitchen chain in the first place. Next up is Stephen McLeod. I keep clicking the wrong one. Stephen McLeod, the Geological Surveyor. Now, again, face value looks pretty cool. 50% productivity, pearls, gold ore, that's great, but it works on stuff that's going to be kind of hard, other than maybe the sand mines, if you have a bunch of sand mines. But he goes in a trade union, and sand mines can be built out into the water now, thanks to the Docklands update for the game. So you're probably not going to have a lot of sand mines. You're going to be more efficient to build your sand mines out in the water and away from trade unions, because you can get more of them out there now. And clay collectors and limestone quarries and clay pits and stuff, it's just not that amazing to me. Very situational on his usage, so he kind of gets put down into the just okay. Next up, we have Savor. I'm not going to try to even attempt to pronounce that first name right there, but Savor, the King of Corn. Now, I do like him. He's not bad at all. He does affect the tortilla maker, which is nice. 50% productivity is good. Does replace corn with plantains, so you just need a few more banana farms now. And he makes some extra fried plantains. He's okay. There's nothing wrong with him. I'm not going to say that, he's like, gotta have him, because I typically don't have a lot of tortilla makers overall. But if you do, maybe he would be a little bit higher in your list if you have a lot of tortilla makers. But I don't, so I don't find him as useful as some others, but he's okay. He's not bad at all. And last we have Ursula Green. This one might be a little more controversial for some people, just because, lumberjacks, charcoal kilns, and hunting cabins. The reason I just have her on C tier, even though she does provide a nice productivity boost and some forest density, I normally don't have a lot of this stuff. Lumberjack huts don't typically have many. Now, I do have quite a few of them in the New World, and I will have her at least around a cluster of them in the New World. But beyond that, I don't have that. I don't build charcoal kilns, like, ever. And I get all of my furs for hunting either from Docklands, or I get it from prime hunting cabins in the Arctic, because they are 4 times more efficient. So her usefulness is very, very limited, basically to lumberjack huts. Unless you hate prime hunting cabins for some reason. And if you hate prime hunting cabins, then I think you should go have your head checked, because they're amazing. So if you use a lot of hunting cabins, and you could use her on that. But other than that, just on lumberjack huts, very, very limited usage. All right, so moving on up to the B tier. We're going to start off with Cosmo Castelli. Now, the B tier are the really nice to have. These are the ones that I'm like, I give a good thumbs up to these guys. So I kind of like these a lot more. All old world crop farms, 70% productivity, 80% workforce reduction, plus 35% number of modules. Now, yes, it does have a plus 35% module on it, but it's only 35%. It's only like 2, maybe 3 at the most that you have to build extra. It's not that bad. The workforce reduction is the key here. I love that. You couple that with a tractor on a crop farm, you basically have workforce-free crop farms. So he's awesome. I love him for that. Really nice to have him around. I try to get him on things like vineyards, because you need so many vineyards to supply your champagne distilleries. Or champagne cellars rather. So I love this guy right here. He really makes having to grow things like champagne a lot grow grapes to make to champagne a lot easier. So I really love him. Next up, we have Francois Strindberg. Now, he affects jewelers. The reason I love him so much is because he does give you pocket watches. Every 4 cycles, you get 1 pocket watch. So I really like this. Pocket watches are something that pocket watches and jewelry just in general, I really don't like making. I try to use Mr. Garrick, the entrepreneur specialist that gives you jewelry and pocket watches for having bank access. But since with the way I build, I'm not going to have every single investor and engineer within range of a town hall. Every little bit extra pumped out from jewelers and extra pocket watches helps a lot. So I really, really like that. I really like that guy. I don't think he's A tier, but he's really nice to have. Next up, we have Hervé Savon, the suppressor of grime. Again, really, really cool guy to have. The dynamite is really nice, actually. Dynamite sells for a reasonable amount just in general sales. And you can use that dynamite to go and send that to advanced weapons factories to make advanced weapons, to either sell for cash or export, because advanced weapons is one of the best exports in the games along with steam carriages. So this guy right here gets a big thumbs up from me. You couple him with someone like the oh, I forgot her name. She swaps out tallow for lumber at the soap factories. You can pump out soap like crazy to sell to Eli. Then you get some extra dynamite for it, and you have less workforce needed. He is mwah. He is Italian kissy hands, is what he is. Next up, we have Maxime Graves. Affects the slaughterhouse, gives you some extra goulash, and instead of pigs, you need beef. Now, he is on nice to have, even though I'm not a big fan of the goulash in general for the artisanal kitchen. But I think he's pretty nice to have still. You know, you can stick him on there, and that's fewer slaughterhouses you need, so that's less vulgarity. That's why I really like about him. Is anything that adds vulgarity, I try to minimize, so this helps minimize that. The goulash is good because then I can use that for the World's Fair if I need it. The pigs for beef is kind of a questionable part because I'm not a big fan of the cattle farms, but I can deal with that on occasion. So I think he's pretty nice to have just for the benefit of being able to lower your vulgarity. Next up, we have Elise the Nose. Let me find her real quick in this list here. If I can spell. Oh God, where's she at? There she is. Madame Elise the Nose Bouquet. She is pretty awesome just because she affects quite several very important production buildings. The champagne cellar, the rum distillery, and the advanced rum distillery, and gives them plus 50% productivity, which is fantastic. And she has the hidden effect of adding a new specialist pool to your island for the public mooring. So she is very nice to have, mostly because of that special effect that she has. She does not have to be within range of a public mooring. As long as she is slotted in anywhere on your island, you get a special pool of visitors. Now, it's not like special unique visitors, but, you know, it's things like Anno Union and a lot of the different other pirate ship specialists that let you build pirate ships. It just adds them into a pool to have a higher chance of spawning. So she's really, really good for that. Plus the 50% productivity on rum distilleries and champagne cellars. You can't never say no to that because God knows we need so much rum. Next up is Mrs. Mason, the very good housekeeper. Anything that affects the cannery, if I'm producing it myself, gets a thumbs up from me. So that 50% productivity is nice. The extra tortillas is, you know, a nice little added bonus that I can either use for the World's Fair or send back to the New World. But this is the part I like, replaces iron with flour. Flour is so easy to make, it's like a no-brainer, and it saves your iron for things like steel. So she is extremely awesome. I love her to death. Next up, we have Seraphim Papadikis. Carpentry Works and Window Makers. Carpentry Works actually covers quite a few things, and that's something I don't think a lot of people know about. So Carpentry Works actually covers the sawmill, obviously, but then it also does coachmakers, gramophone factories, and the marquetry workshop. So it's actually really cool. You can stick him over top of a marquetry workshop and get a 50% bonus to it, provides electricity so you don't have to run your own power to it, and you get extra wood veneers already from something that's making wood veneers. So it's like just more wood veneers. Put it on top of a gramophone factory, coachmakers, anything like that. So he's really, really cool. The number of factories that he goes on top of is what really boosts him for me, especially the gramophones and the coachmakers. You need so many of those chassis for the steam carriages that any boost to the coachmaker is so nice. The wood veneers is also a good bonus. You can use those for the gramophones or send those to the New World as well if you don't want to make them in the New World itself, and use those for the cigar boxes. So I love me some Seraphim Papadikis. Last on the B tier is Susanna Brightwoman. Now she is a unique specialist. You can only get one of her, and we'll show right here. She comes from the quest. Once you finish the for the Queen, called the Great Exhibition, which is to build a World's Fair on Crown Falls. Once you do that, you get her. Now I would probably put her up a little bit higher, maybe A tier, but since you can only have one of her, she kind of gets bumped down to B tier. Now she only does have one ability, and that is to make gold every 5 cycles. You get 1 gold on clockmakers and jewelers. But the fact that she gives you like straight up gold bars is so nice, because gold bars are such a pain to craft yourself because you need so much gold ore that it is absolutely crucial, and I love her for that. So she gets the last spot on the B tier. All right, moving on up to the A tier, we have Brother Hilarious, the purveyor of monastic mixtures. Anything that helps with rum, beer, schnapps is kind of like a whatever, but the beer and the rum is really nice. 50% out on the brewery itself, and then you get extra rum every 3 cycles and 50% less workforce. He is awesome. I absolutely love this guy. I try to have him surrounding as many breweries and schnapps distilleries as I can get away with, and just watch all that extra rum come flowing in. That's less I have to bring over from the New World or import from the Docklands, so he is absolutely crucial for me. Cola Mola Wola machine right here. You can craft this in the Arctic from Old Nate. Again, kind of like the well, who was it all of a sudden? I forgot. Oh, Elise, right. Just like Elise the Nose. It affects champagnes, rum distilleries, and the advanced rum distillery right there. Smaller production boost, except it's that coffee. The coffee it gives you is awesome. Everyone knows how much coffee is needed in this game. Coffee is just one of those imports, one of those goods that it's just like, oh my God, you cannot get enough of it. So this right here, giving you coffee every 10 cycles from things you're going to have a lot of anyways, is absolutely awesome, and I love it so much. Next up, we have Hans Klein, Old Grandfather Time. Again, just to kind of repeat myself, anything that gives you more pocket watches and jewelry is absolutely awesome. So that is why he gets a spot on the A tier. And he gives you jewelry pretty quick from clockmakers every 3 cycles. So yeah, love me some Hans Klein. Next up, we have Marie Antoine, the Patasi, whatever that word is. Marie Antoine. Now, bakeries are kind of it's a bakery, but extra grapes and chocolate and the 50% productivity, I think he is awesome for that right there. I try to have all of my bakeries grouped nearby and have him on it. As most of you know, I like to export champagne from Docklands, so any extra grapes I can get my hands on is absolutely amazing, and the chocolate is nice as a side bonus. So he is definitely A tier for me because of these extra bonuses he gives right there. And the 50% productivity is very, very nice too. I think this used not to be there. He used to only give grapes and chocolate. There was no production bonus, but once they added that in, it made it a lot better for me. And last on the A tier is Lady Jane Smith. Now, the reason she is A tier and someone like Cristobal is C tier is because fur dealers are a lot more important to me than the New World stuff like bombing hats and everything. So the ability to increase my fur dealers by an additional 50% and then also get bowler hats, which I can use for my scholars. I think currently my scholar population is being fully supplied with bowler hats just because of her on my fur dealers. So she is absolutely A tier for me. She does so many things that are very good. The furs, the bowler hats, framework knitters, whatever. But it's just those 2 things right there that really give her a spot on that A tier. And last but not least, we have the trade union gods, the best of the best in my opinion, and the ones I love to have around. And we're going to start off with the most overpowered one in the entire game at the time of this video, and that is Bruno Ironbright. Bicycle factories, sewing machines, cab assembly lines give you advanced weapons and steam motors, plus an additional 50% productivity. If you don't know about the trick with Docklands and this guy, you need to get out from underneath a rock. You build a few bicycle factories or sewing machine factories and clump them all up and put him on top of it and then clip them. You have to clip. If you're not familiar with clipping, check out the wiki and just type in building clipping. Clip Bruno Ironbright over top of some bicycle factories or sewing machine factories, and you're going to have so many advanced weapons and steam motors coming out, you're not going to know what to do with them. And I'll tell you what to do with them. You export them and import everything you need, basically. Yeah, it's a whole kind of broken mechanic currently with Docklands. Again, at the time of the making of this video, I don't know if they'll change it in the future, but this guy right here can totally allow you to bypass the majority of your production chains, just because advanced weapons and steam motors have a massive exchange ratio, and you can import just about everything else you need with it. So Bruno is a god, basically. And along with him being a god, we also have Ram Devi, who is also a god. Light bulbs affect gramophone factories, give you all of these lovely things right here as an extra product. It's a little slow at, every 13 to 17, 15, 14, 16. It's a little slow, but it's nothing to sneeze at. You can pump out quite a few per minute depending on how fast your light bulb factories and gramophone factories are producing. You can get quite a bit, and you can help sustain some of your economy, and it's really gonna net you a lot of extra goods right here. So Ram Devi is absolutely S tier for me. Next up, we have Gennaro Garibaldi. Fried Plantain Kitchen, whatever. It's that chocolate factory that he affects. Gives you sugar and rum every 4 and 5, respectively. That is so good. Being able to almost supply your own sugar for the chocolate factory, depending on how fast your chocolate factory is producing, is so amazing. And the extra rum, hey, who doesn't love more rum? We never want to run out of rum. Everyone knows what happens when you run out of rum. Your income goes through the toilet. So, hey, more rum is always good, and having all that extra sugar is awesome. Absolutely think this guy is among some of the best in the game. Next up is Gerhard Fuchs, or however you say that word, or say his name. Spectacle Factory. Spectacles are one of those things that some people are like, it's spectacles though, but pocket watches every 3 to 1, that's awesome. And then you don't have to have brass. If he did not have the replaced input, Gerhard Fuchs would probably be like B tier. But because you can replace a somewhat complex chain like brass, or it's not complex, but it's an intensive chain, because zinc and copper are not they're common, but they're not super common everywhere. And you need like the ratio of them to brass smelteries is kind of low. So you need a lot of brass. You can need a lot of brass, and to be able to replace that with just wood, like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever. So yes, he is absolutely a trade union god to me. So love him, love having him. I try to put him on the majority of my spectacle factories and completely destroy any need for brass. Obviously, Jorg von Malking is on this tier. Everyone knows about Jorg. He is absolutely awesome. All mines and quarries, you get oil 1-for-1 ratio, and you get gold 6-for-1 ratio. So, I know people who put a Jorg von Malking on every single mine on an island and can supply all of the oil that they could possibly need for that island just with him, and they don't have to import it, or they don't have to bring it over from another island at all. This guy is so broken, it's so good, and I love it so much. And last but not least, finally, almost 30-minute video, we have Marco Della Moca, the Crusher of Beans. With this guy going, and some other specialists on there, maybe like Ferris Al-Sarami or something, to boost your coffee roaster output, you can just about supply all of the coffee beans you need, and only need like maybe 2 or 3 coffee farms or coffee plantations with tractors on them, and it's going to be it, because he pumps out coffee beans like no tomorrow. 2-for-1, that's really good. Yeah, I just don't know what else to say about him. This guy is awesome. He is like one of the first things I try to go for as soon as I find him in the Research Institute. If I don't already have one, I craft him instantly, because he is just so good, and he really helps that coffee production. So that is it. That is my trade union tier list for legendary specialists. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, specialists and items. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you have some you agreed with, some you don't agree with? Where would you have put different things? Let me know. And if you like this format, let me know as well. And I can do this for town halls and the harbor master. And then we'll look at maybe doing epic specialists and items and kind of go down through the list. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video. Take care.